the next challenge for the French policymaker is to get a government, because right now we don't have any. We have a ghost government, but we don't have a prime minister.
Let's talk about the French Parliament, which has gathered for the first time since an election produced a deadlock parliament. The National Assembly is split between three large blocs. The new Popular Front left-wing alliance has about 190 seats. The centrist Renaissance Party of Emmanuel Macron's has 150, and the far-right National Rally 142. The remaining seats are divided between smaller parties. Now, the lawmakers met today to elect the President of the National Assembly. Although this role doesn't come with executive powers, the vote could mark the emergence of a majority. Nathalie Goulet is a French senator and in the Union of Democrats and Independents. She joins us now. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining us on Times Radio. I should say, first of all, we're used to chaos in Parliament in this country. We're kind of past masters at it, actually. So how was it there today?
Well, the election went through, and the previous speaker was re-elected, in fact, after 3 rounds, Yael Braun-Pivet. So we take the same and we do it again.
And what was the atmosphere like within Parliament?
Well, I think that we have some suspense because we have a communist candidate who was ahead of the ballot for the first round. And also the National Rally has a very good score with 141 ballot. So we had some, I think, alliance or agreement between the left, not extreme left, but left, and the presidential party to achieve this election and get Yael Braun-Pivet re-elected. It was quite civilized.
Good. Well, that's nice to hear. Has there been an emergence yet of any sort of dominant group within the new parliament? Was anyone was anyone making the running today, I suppose is a way of putting it?
No, it will be very difficult, I think. We have a three party, and then, the new Popular Front, which is the left, an extreme left. In fact, they took almost a week to find a common candidate for the Speaker of the Assemblée Nationale. And we will see if they will get organized for the rest of the organization of the Assemblée Nationale, because now they have to distribute the seats. The vice president, the head of the commission, and everything will be subject to some kind of mercato. And the question is, what will be the place of the National Rally, which finally has 141 seats.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out in coming weeks. Who's in the running for president of the National Assembly, Nathalie?
Oh, but we elected the lady who was speaker before.
Oh, and she stays in position, yeah?
She has been re-elected. She was candidate, and then by the way that election has been done, she has been elected again, re-elected. So she's staying in function.
I'm interested in your take on what's been going on in Blenheim Palace today over here. We know that Emmanuel Macron and the Prime Minister Keir Starmer are having dinner tonight after the EPC meeting in Blenheim. How engaged in that conversation is France, in the whole conversation with Britain over what to do about illegal migration?
Well, finally, I don't think the things are going to change dramatically because, as you know, the president keeps the foreign affairs in hands. And I think that the next challenge will not be immigration. That will be one challenge. It's very important, of course. But the next challenge for the French policymaker is to get a government, because right now we don't have any. We have a ghost government, but we don't have a prime minister. The prime minister was dismissed. So he's just now going for the current business, but he's not really in function, and we will have to wait a new government.
And how does that manifest itself out there on the streets of France. If you haven't got a functioning government, what does that mean?
Well, right now the people are under holidays and Olympic Games. So I don't think they give a lot of attention. And I don't want to be rude, but I don't think that they pay attention to the situation because the current affairs are taken care of, and especially security. Of course, the Minister of Interior, Gérald Darmanin, is very efficient. He's still working on all the subject. He kept his ministry as long as he's not replaced by a new minister. So I don't think the people are taking care of it. I don't think so.
If just to go back to the talks between Macron and Starmer tonight, if Macron was seen to, if you like, concede to the Prime Minister on the issue of migration,
Yeah.
how is that likely to play out in the Parliament when it starts to take form?
Well, I think that probably with this amount of elected people from the National Rally, this question will be major. What I was talking previously was that the situation of migration is it's a congestional subject. It's why the National Rally is getting so much ballots. It's because the people in France are also fed up with migration, illegal migration, and everything. So it's a real subject. And as the number of seats for the National Rally increased tremendously, I think it will be a subject in the next parliament. It's one of the major subjects for the next legislation.
Just going forward, as you say, there's no prime minister at the moment. There has been talk about the possibility of a technocrat being appointed prime minister. It's thought that Emmanuel Macron might favour that move. Someone like Christine Lagarde, who's the president of the European Central Bank, her name's been bandied around. Whether it's her or not, can a technocratic prime minister work? Is that what France needs at the moment? It worked in Italy to an extent.
Yes, I think that we need a united national union again around the government. Christine Lagarde always said that the only job that nobody asked her for was Pope. So she's always on the top of the agenda. But I think that a technical prime minister would be very useful, and probably the head of the Supreme Court for account, la Cour des Comptes, Pierre Moscovici, because the financial situation of France is not so good. We have injunction from European Union regarding our deficit. The rate agency downgrade our notation. So I think that we have a lot of issue regarding the budget and the financial issues, and maybe a technician linked with a financial matter would be very useful.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for organisational skills, I think. That's great. Thanks very much for that, Nathalie. That's Nathalie Goulet, French senator, talking to us about the situation in France.